All right, so now it's time to do the final art project of the semester. And we are studying about line right now. So I want you guys to use line to create something interesting, okay? If you remember on Tuesday, the last painting that we looked at, the last thing we looked at was this one by Victor Vassarelli. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Right, and if you guys remember, it's very similar to that optical illusion hand that we did, right? Just on a much more, how should we say it? Much more detail with it, right? So I want you guys to create your own kind of line, the optical illusion, if you will, type of artwork, okay? And I want you to kind of take inspiration from him. He's a lot of different line. For example, in this one, he used kind of thicker lines here to create that with a black background. Something like this is also acceptable if that's what you wanted to create, okay? But it is a little bit more difficult and would take up a little bit more time, okay? What I want you to do is something similar to this. Oops, where'd it go? This would be something which you should kind of aim for, okay? I want you to make a composition using lines, especially thick lines and thin lines. I want you to use that to create something interesting. It doesn't have to be something. I mean, you could create a zebra or, a dog or something like that. That's all good. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, you could just put a series of lines here, and that's all you need to do. Now, for this, you will need to use blank paper if you choose to do it on paper, okay? I will not accept anything with lined paper on there. So remember that now. I'll probably say it again and again, but no notebook paper. It has to be blank. So if you want to use paper, you have to get blank paper if you don't already have it. Go to the dollar store, get a pack of that copy paper or something like that, and you can use that. That's fine. If you have a sketchbook with blank paper, that's fine too. If you have construction paper, and it's pink, that's fine. It doesn't have to be white, but it cannot have lines on there. All right. The reason is if you have lines on there and you put different lines, I'm not going to know what lines you are referring to when you're making this line composition. All right. Now you have your choice. You can use black and white. You can use pink and blue. You can use all kinds of different colors. You can use crayons to do it, markers, Sharpies, highlighters, paints, whatever you want to do to make your line composition, your line drawing, your line painting, okay? But this is something like how I want you to do it. So let me go over the steps of how I would want you to do it. Let me take a look here, right? So first thing you want to do is maybe sketch out some ideas, all right? You don't have to make these like bunch of different sketches, but you should, decide, okay, well, I want to make these type of diagonal lines. I want to make these type of curvy lines, and just sketch something out, okay? You don't have to show me if you don't want to. I'd love to see it, but you don't have to show me, okay? So sketch out some ideas. And then after that, make a final design, make a rough of it. Okay, I want to make something like this. And then after that, you're going to, do it one more time. But this time, you're going to make it more carefully, okay? You're going to outline the shapes. And then inside those shapes, you're going to draw the lines. Now, I would do this in pencil first. Okay, it's always better to do in pencil because you can erase pencil. And then after you've done it in pencil, then you can begin to color in those lines with whatever materials you want, right? Colored pencil or marker or, paint or whatever you have, okay? And then you trace over those lines, all right? And then after you've traced over the lines, you can erase the pencil, okay? And then after you've erased the pencil, then you can decide to add some different thicknesses, right? So again, pay attention to thick and thin. I want you guys to have thick and thin lines, okay? And I want you to add some variety. So I don't want to see like a whole paper full of just horizontal lines going back and forth. That's not going to do it for me. Okay, you have to add some vertical lines, add some diagonal lines in there, add some curved lines in there, add some different lengths, okay? Remember, that's what we studied about. We studied about short and long, thick and thin, vertical, diagonal, horizontal, curved. I want to see variations of the type of lines, not one, not two, at least 3 types of lines, thick and thin lines, okay, and also short and long lines. I want to see those variations, all right? So that's what you're going to do. Now, if you want to take a look at some of Victor Vassarelli's art, you can find it on the internet. One of the good websites is to look at ArtNet, and you would search for Victor Vassarelli. And you can find some of his things. Now, he did a lot with shape as well, but I want you guys to focus on line. You see here, there's the diagonal lines for this. This is a really good example. All right, this one right here, you know, he just used different shapes, but inside the shapes, he has lines. So you can do something similar to this, right? Get some squares and then put lines inside those squares and make them thick and thin. If you see here, he varied the thick and thinness, so it really gives that illusion look. You know, things are starting to be dark and light, and shapes are moving at you, and it kind of hurts your eyes a little bit. But that's what I want you to look at. Another good example of his is this one here, right? This zebra one. We already took a look at a zebra one, but look, this one has color in the background too, so it makes it pop out even more. Okay, and you're more than welcome to use colored lines too. So something like that. Now, you don't have to use paper, and you don't have to use, you know, markers and pens like that. If you want to do it digitally, you can. All right. If you're going to do it digitally, though, I want you to use vector. So I've started on mine here in vector, right? I put the lines in. I have thick and thin. I have some different variations, right? Vertical and horizontal lines, and I have some curved lines there too. And to do this, it's simple. All you have to do is use the pen tool. Okay, you can have shapes in the background if you want to guide you, but you can just use the pen tool as well. So if I want to draw a diagonal line, I just click once, and then click to where I want the line to end, then press enter, and that finishes that line, okay? And if I click on there again, I can change the thickness up here, right? You see where that border is, B-O-R-D-E-R. If I keep making that, I can make it thick, very, very thick, okay? Or I can make it thin again too, all right? So I may vary the thickness for that line too, okay? So once again, I'll click off of this. You click on the pen tool, click to where you want it to start, click to where you want the line to end, then press enter, all right? And then you can change the thickness of that line too, okay, on border. And something similar to this would be good, okay? I'll have to finish this up. But this is kind of what I'm looking for, something like this. So make sure your composition has different types of lines. Again, thick and thin, short and long, and a variation in direction. It should be horizontal, vertical, diagonal, curved, wavy. You can use dotted lines, dashed lines. Put a bunch of different lines on that paper. Again, you don't have to use paper. You can use vector if you want. You have to use one of the two. You can use vector, or you can use blank paper. No lined paper. Again, no lined paper. No lined notebook paper. Only blank paper. The paper can be pink or blue. The color doesn't matter, but it has to be blank. There cannot be lines on there, okay? You can use whatever materials you want. You can use marker, color pencil, crayon, but I want you to do this carefully. I want you to do a sketch, and I want you to plan it out, and I want you to put the lines on there. Make sure there are different types of lines, you know, and make something interesting. That's what I want you to do for the final art project. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to answer all your questions that you want me to answer, okay? So go ahead, think about the lines you want to use, start making some sketches, and then after that, you can get started on actually doing the art project, okay? Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in art class.